Okay, so now here we are. We're going to do the box below eye level next, and we're going to still place it in about the same way. We're doing it so that we can fit one here and another one over here, 3 boxes placed in on the page, something like what we did with the 1-point perspective, all right? So you're going to measure over now, not all the way to there. I want you to measure so that the box's left edge is not too close to that line and the vanishing point. So we're going to put the front edge about 4 inches, not 6 inches, but 4 inches over, so we have room to put the back edge in without getting too close to the vanishing point. We'll get closer to the vanishing point with the third box, all right? So somewhere just below the eye level horizon line, measure over to 4 inches, put a mark. Remember, put your ruler at 0 and make a mark at 4 and 4. You need 2 to make sure you go straight up and down. And then we're going to make that line 2 inches long, and it's going to start an inch above the bottom of the paper, okay? So I'm going to randomly put it at 6 inches at the bottom edge of the paper. I'm going to line up those 2 marks. I want to make sure that I don't do something like this, starting at 3 and running out of room on my ruler, right? That's why I chose 6 inches. I'm going to line up my 2 marks, my measurement marks, they're tick marks, and I'm going to draw the line in starting 1 inch above here, so it's 6 inches is on the edge. I'm going to start it at 5, and I'm going to go up 1 inch, 2 inch, stopping at 3. So it's a 2-inch long line, and it's about 1.5 inches below the horizon line because of the distance that we put it on the paper, and 1 inch above the bottom of the paper. Now, like we did with this box, from the top, we're going to go to the vanishing point. From the bottom, we're going to go to the same vanishing point to put the side face for the left, and then we'll do the side face for the right, and then we'll do the back edges that stop them from going to infinity. So put your pencil there, line it up. Remember, you're using the same 2 vanishing points for all of this work. Don't give me new vanishing points. Use the same ones. Make your life a little simpler. Now I'm going to stop before I get to my label. That way I won't have to erase it, but it was lined up. It was so I could go right to that vanishing point if I wanted to. I just don't want to keep erasing everything, okay? So you can do the same thing if you want. So we've got the top and the bottom edge of the cube. Now it's below our eye level, below the horizon line, all of it, okay? So we're going to now draw the bottom edge to this vanishing point and the top edge going off to the right, vanishing point on the horizon line. So make sure, once again, you want to make sure that all of these lines come together when you start the next lines. Otherwise, you're not going to convince somebody that it's a real object. And that's what this is all about. There's the bottom edge. I always start with the form because that's the one that really needs to be perfect. And looks good. All right, so there's the left side, the right side, and notice that it took us longer to get to that side than it did to that side. So what it shows us is that it's off to the left of our main gaze. If we were looking straight ahead of ourselves, it's off to the left of it. And that means that the front edge is tilted a little more from us at the left than it is at the right. This distance on our drawing will be longer, and this distance will be shorter, and that helps us to make it look like a believable form. Okay, so the distance to the back edge should be less than it is for its height instead of, well, just like it was here, but even a little less than that. I'd say it's going to be close to half of the distance, maybe just a little bit less, a little bit more than half of the distance from bottom to top. Here's a good guess for the distance from front to back. So here's my distance. I'll make sure that it's at a 90-degree angle to the horizon line, parallel to the front edge before I draw it in. That looks pretty good. Remember, this should be parallel. And you're drawing from the top line to the bottom line, the back edge of your cube. Okay? So this distance has to be less than this distance because this one's equally distant from those vanishing points. as far away from them. This one is closer to that one, so the distance from front to back needs to be less, all right, to show that it's that distance. Now, on this side, because it's farther away than this one was, we don't want to go as we did there, which was about 2/3. What we want to do instead is go a little bit closer, maybe 4/5, but still not quite the whole height of the box. So that looks pretty good. About 4/5 of the distance up, right? It cannot be the same depth as it is height in length. Cannot, because it's tilted away from us. As things go farther away from us, they become smaller from front to back. And let's just double check to make sure that it stayed less than this distance. And it's just barely less, okay? But it's less, and it's gonna work. It's believable, okay? So now we're going to go from this to there to create the back edge that's parallel to the front edge of the cube on its top. Harder to do it standing out of the way of the camera. There we go. I think we've got it. Goes back to the vanishing point. And this one, where this meets up, goes back to that vanishing point. It's in real life, it's parallel to this edge, and that means it goes to the same vanishing point. It shares that vanishing point because it goes the same direction. It's just a little farther away. Okay. So there's my three-dimensional box below eye level using two-point perspective. This is a little bit longer than I would like, honestly. Just a little bit too long to make it believable. It probably should be a little bit more like that. That little bit can make a big difference in believability. But we're gonna go with it. If yours is longer, than goes back more this way than it is tall, then it's absolutely wrong. It would be for something longer like this than like this, okay? All right, so let's get rid of the guidelines and do some labeling on this one. Remember, if you erase something by accident, whether it's the box or the horizon line, redraw it with your ruler and pencil carefully. And if you take out a label, rewrite it. A good thing to keep in mind is with videos like this, you can always pause it, do the work, and then start it back up again, especially if you work a little slower than I'm working and are having difficulty staying up with me. Okay, so I did erase part of that corner back there, so I'm going to redraw it using my ruler, going both directions like that. All right? My vanishing point label got erased too. And I might erase it again before I finish, but I like to redo it before I forget for each one. So that's the 2-point below eye level. Let's label it. It's below eye level EL. And that means the whole thing, not just part of it, but the whole thing. This whole thing was above the horizon line. This whole thing is below the horizon line. Our next one is going to be partially above and partially below for what we call on eye level. All right, so that's your next one.